What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I want to focus on the amazing Chris Paul, who still is a very productive player here in year 17 of his Hall of Fame bound NBA career. Just this past week, he was named, I believe, the Western Conference Player of the Week. And the last 6 games, Chris Paul has been playing lights out. He's been averaging over the past 6 games 21.2 points, 6.5 rebounds, 13 assists. Yes, 13 assists per game, 1.5 steals. He's been shooting over 57% from the floor during that stretch and an amazing 48% from downtown. Chris Paul continues to amaze in a time of his career where he should be really starting to slow down. And he's the other geriatric in the NBA who is still playing at a very high level, but doesn't get nearly as much attention for it. It's funny. It was year 17 2 years ago for LeBron James when he led the NBA in assists, and so much was made of that. Well, here is Chris Paul, who earlier this year was leading the NBA in assists, but fell behind the pace to James Harden. But because of his stretch lately, he's reasserted himself as the assist leader in the NBA. If he were to finish ahead of James Harden and lead the NBA in assists, this will also be his 17th season, equaling that record. But does anybody talk about this? No. Why? Because it's all fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. It is what it is. A lot of people are so enthralled with the modern day point guard. These combo guards who put up a lot of points, get a lot of meaningless rebounds at times. Shoot the ball a lot, get all these triple doubles that don't mean anything. Um, well, at least when Russell Westbrook get them, we're told it don't mean anything. But everybody else, I guess it does mean something. But anyway, people have forgotten about the old school traditional pass first point guard, which has always been historically key to a great team. Whether you're talking about going all the way back to a Bob Cousy, who could score when needed, but Bob Cousy, Kevin Porter, Guy Hodges, to an extent, Lenny Wilkins. You know, Kevin Porter, John Stockton, Jason Kidd. The list goes on and on. Chris Paul has, the last few years, he's achieved a lot of milestones. He was the first player in the history of the NBA to achieve 20,000 points and 10,000 assists. LeBron will join him shortly. He is now, I believe, third all time in assists behind only John Stockton and Jason Kidd. And if he plays long enough, he has an outside shot of catching Jason Kidd. But he have to stay healthy for, in my opinion, at least 3 more seasons to do it. If he were to play that long. He's on the verge, incidentally, of passing Gary Payton. He's about 20 something steals behind Gary Payton. He's going to pass Gary Payton sometime in the next 2 weeks in all time steals, which would push him to fourth all time on that total behind John Stockton, Jason Kidd, and Michael Jordan. And he's not that far behind Michael Jordan. Chris Paul led the NBA in steals a record 6 times. 6 times. That is twice as many as anybody else. Allen Iverson led the NBA in steals 3 times. Michael Jordan led the NBA in steals 3 times. I believe Alvin Robinson led the NBA in steals 3 times. Gerald Green came out recently and said that had Chris Paul not gotten hurt in 2018, the Houston Rockets would have won the championship. And most observers would agree with that. Most observers would agree that if they had Chris Paul in those last two games before he was sidelined with the hamstring injury, most people would agree with that. Now, what's the knock on Chris Paul? You know, Chris Paul finally went to an NBA Finals last year. They had a 2-0 lead, but ultimately they lost 4 games in a row. Chris Paul did not have a particularly strong finals, even though he had a lot of great performances in the playoffs last year. But what's the knock on Chris Paul? Well, some people knock Chris Paul because, well, they think he's unlucky or he's not clutch. Where, in my opinion, I think Chris Paul has been unfortunately hit with a lot of bad luck. There have been a lot of times where, unfortunately, injuries have hit his team where key players, including himself at times, have been knocked out and just absolutely ruined what was a great run during the regular season into the playoffs. But Chris Paul, as an individual player, no doubt about it, man. There's no doubt about it. Chris Paul is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He scored over 20,000 career points. And, he's one of the best ever. He may be the best leader that the game has ever seen. He's definitely up there with the greatest leaders. As far as passing is concerned, I think he's top 5. And he truly, like Jason Kidd, makes players around him better. Now, without Jason Kidd, without Chris Paul, this team would still be a playoff caliber team. But would they be 40-9? Would they be on pace to obliterate the franchise record for wins? I don't think so. And, will they win a championship? No one's picking them to come out of the West, which is very disrespectful. I'm not going to say nobody, but not a majority of people. Most people think that it's going to be, Golden State. Um, I think that Phoenix definitely could come out of the West. But more praise need to be heaped upon Chris Paul. He's playing spectacularly. Yeah, the numbers aren't, they're not eye-popping numbers. But neither, as I've said before, neither was Steve Nash, and he won 2 MVPs in a row, 2, and he never went to an NBA final. So someone need to explain this to me. Steve Nash never went to an NBA finals. Only went to one conference finals. Won 2 back-to-back MVPs. Chris Paul, 36 going on 37 years of age, on pace to lead the NBA in assists, averaging 15 points and over 10 assists a game. His team is on pace to win 67 games, which would obliterate the record. After going to the finals the year before, and he's not in the MVP conversation at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not saying he's the leader. No, I don't think he's the leader. But not at all, ladies and gentlemen. Not at all. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think.